Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. I am your host, Ben, and with me as always are my co-hosts.
Mike.
Hey, it's Matt. What's going on?
Andrew is out this week. He is at a wedding. Boo, being a supportive family member, not being a professional. Let's get booze going. Let's get some F's going in the chat.
Hey, let's not give him too much credit. He made a decision of one family meeting over another.
True, yeah.
But still, he made the decision to support the institution, the patriarchal institution of marriage, over the institutions of higher ed.
I say
but in a different country.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't blame him. You know, going for a little bit
arguably
of
worse
exotic adventure versus sitting through the capitalistic bureaucratic mill of just pumping out more and more say workers for the mines. That is what grad school is.
They can't get jobs.
As a graduate of a grad school program, I can say that with confidence.
I was gonna say there's a famous Reddit post about it's like my friend studied Egyptology in college and couldn't get a job, so he went back and got a PhD in Egyptology so he could teach Egyptology. It's a Ponzi scheme.
Exactly. No, that was my goal. That was my goal. There's
same.
My graduate degree makes me absolutely unhireable in terms of anything else beyond teaching that same field. So
that's what they say in engineering. Like PhDs in engineering are for people who only want to go into being a professor because that's what's like a requirement.
Absolutely.
Or like 20 years of professional experience or something like that.
So that's a little bit of personal stuff going on here with the comrades. Just another
personal comrades.
A little forewarning here. I am personally still dealing with an illness, so I apologize if my energy levels go up and down.
Sad. Low energy.
Yeah, it is very sad, very weak.
I've just been high since I've taken my last final exam of my life.
Let's get some W's in the chat for that. Done with law school.
Did you get your grades yet?
No, not yet. But I mean, I don't care about them, and I'm not going to fail.
As long as it's a passing grade, that's all that matters. This is your last. This is your last bit of academia. So grades don't matter anymore.
Yeah, ever. And if I ever decide to go back, please bring me outside and execute me in a video game.
Yeah, in the game.
I made the decision long ago that if I was to do grad school, it had to be right after.
That's why I did
regular.
I was still in the zone.
Because if I took any time off from school, I'd never go back to like homework and studying and bullshit.
Absolutely. So now we just play games all the time.
I do that and I get paid now.
Yeah.
And get mad at them online. Which brings us to our first topic of the day, which is a good thing why Andrew's not here. He was the one that is probably most excited and still remains the most positive.
That was remember our first episode. That was his game he was excited for.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you really think?
Yeah. So for the folks at home who have been living under a rock, WB just put out their real demo footage for Gotham Knights, featuring gameplay footage, and put in scare quotes gameplay footage of
it had the very nice moniker at the bottom of like in engine footage, but like not final game.
Exactly, like likely to change, and I'd be like, I sure fucking hope so. But I felt so bad. I felt so bad when it first came out. Like, we're talking in the group chat. Matt and I are just immediately super negative. And
I was trying not to be as negative as possible. Like, you brought it out of me later.
Exactly. No, that's what
I was trying to be nicer.
No, Andrew was still like, "Oh no, I'm still hopeful. I still think it looks good, whatever." So then I proceeded to take the negativity just to Matt and my solo conversation, and we proceeded to talk for an hour just about how
non-lethal bullets.
Yeah, just how disappointed we are. Oh man, it's okay.
Oh, I missed that. That's fantastic.
I mean, yeah, it's Red Hood is decidedly not Batman. It's like the whole thing's like, Batman doesn't kill.
He was the Batman who shoots and kills people.
Yeah, that's his whole thing.
And there was a little defense force out on the internet who was like pushing their glasses up. And they're like, actually, when the one time he helped the Bat family, he said he used rubber bullets because he's reformed.
Can we also talk about how bullshit that is? That rubber bullets are they're less lethal rounds. They're less lethal rounds.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they used to be non-lethal. Now they're less lethal.
Because they got caught up in the technicalities that they can still kill people and have.
Yes.
No, the first thing in the Gotham Knights footage that like immediately ticked me off and like told me something was going to be wrong was Nightwing jumped off the roof. It's Fortnite glider.
Yeah.
And
my first.
And it's not even an actual glider. It's just a fucking. It might as well just be a jetpack.
It
looks so unfun to maneuver.
It's the Green Goblin glider, but he is hanging from it.
But it looks so slow and just like non-fun to travel on.
Oh, it looks so stupid.
Well, because it seemed like it had the mechanics of if it did not have those jetpacks, so you had to like maneuver it like you were just like falling.
Yeah, but you could just go up.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was ridiculous.
And he's just hanging out there.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna do a glider, like if you want to do something like that, do like the Breath of the Wild glider and use the grappling hook to like launch yourself. Like,
oh, that speaking of the
traversal worthwhile.
Speaking of the grappling and moving to Red Hood, like the whole weird mystical soul jump thing, whatever, completely pointless because it's still in the gameplay footage they show. He still has a grappling hook that can just keep on perma grappling from one.
All you would have to do, because
so
he's remember
pointless.
Batman with guns who shoots people, so he still has tech. Just give him little jet boosters in his boots.
Yeah,
that he gets like a little like boost jump so he can get to farther away roofs.
Right,
done, boom. Like what are you guys doing?
I think one of my favorite parts, you get Nightwing flying in on the Fortnite glider, and then they're describing Nightwing's fighting style, and they're like, yeah, he's acrobatic, he's ping-ponging around the battlefield.
Dude,
and it was literally just Nightwing doing like twist jumps and like kicking people in the head. And
the first somersault he did,
yeah,
there's something wrong about that animation. He covered too much ground for such a slow somersault or something. And like they completely miss They completely miss the Arkham fighting like smoothness and crispness of how Batman flowed between people. Like maybe I'm a little spoiled because Spider-Man has really perfected that combat. Sifu actually does a really good job of like the flowing between adversaries as well in a different type of combat game. But like, man, oh my God.
That
like
that comment there about the seamless kind of flow of opponents also leads me to my major criticism of what they showed is the stagnant nature of the enemy AI. It's literally, you're surrounded by a group of goons and only one of them comes in for a swing while the other ones, Matt is just doing, for listeners at home, Matt is just doing a fisticuffs animation. Just they're just, they're standing around. It's so still and lifeless. Yeah, it's just like, oh my God, like I just like where that was really where the Arkham games truly sung, was in like the kind of frenetic kind of constant movement of the combat and flowing from one thing to the next beyond your own kind of combat skills. It's the nature of the enemy AI around you, and you're thinking for what is now, and we'll get to this, a current gen only game. It's like you would hope that the enemy AI would have made some improvements, but according to the FAQ that they put out, this has nothing to do with the Arkham games. This is like a completely standalone thing.
So there's going to be a non-zero amount of people who buy this game thinking it's Rocksteady and thinking they're getting another Arkham and not realizing they're getting Arkham Origins.
Yeah.
The spin-off studio who made the one Arkham game that everyone hated. Like,
man, I love the trickiness there. I love the subtle manipulation.
That's a nice little rug pull right there.
Absolutely.
I think one of my favorite memes I saw was like Red Hood and Arkham Knight would absolutely fucking murk Red Hood and Gotham Knight.
Yeah.
Like he would no mercy him. Non-lethal bullets.
Back to the Red Hood, there was a cutscene or like a animation where he like smashes a dude's head into the ground.
He uses bombs that are somehow non-lethal. Again, it's just like the inconsistency is so.
They didn't even have to say that. If they were just like, oh, you have to shoot them because it's a video game and they have a health bar and they have armor and stuff, so like it doesn't kill them right away. Like, you literally just don't say anything at that point,
Yeah.
and it makes me less angry.
But it's the Batman thing of like
It's because it's rated T for teen.
And,
No, that's it.
Didn't even pick that
Can't
up.
have any blood.
Yeah,
I
but
liked when they
you
were
could do
like,
bullets
we're gonna
without blood.
follow Nightwing on some stealth gameplay, and the stealth gameplay is him just sitting on a railing as guards who absolutely should have seen him in their peripheral vision, just like walk, and he
on a railing on like the second floor with like wide opening and no cover
in light, lit by the moon. The next gen only thing, I think we can bring that up now as part of the discussion.
So
I'm of the opinion that what ended up happening during development was they were, split the team up a little bit to try to develop for both sides. And they realized they just couldn't get it to run on Xbox One, PS4 in a like acceptable manner. And they were just like, okay, fuck it. Like, chop that division, put them over here. Let's just focus on the new stuff.
Yeah, because
just try to get it running right.
That is critical to understand, is that this is not something that was developed from the ground up for current generation consoles. This was something the last gen stuff has been canceled. So that means that there's still got to be some sort of underlying source code stuff that is, again, just not fully optimized for
I think we can all
hardware.
agree as viewers that there was nothing about that footage that screamed next gen only.
Absolutely not.
I've seen Last of Us 2 is a PS4 game, and that's more next gen only view wise than what I saw from Gotham Knights.
I wonder, and I won't jump too far ahead. I'll just mention it because we'll get to it later. But I wonder if we're going to see more and more of these cancellations happening. I mean, obviously, there's less and less games that are going to be doing the dual.
We're 2 years into a new console cycle. Yes, there's been shortages. Yes, that means that there hasn't been as much hardware sold as they would have liked.
Sony says
you do need to
that they're not going to hit their the sales expectations even with this year. Yeah.
They also said that they're expecting to ship 50% more PS5s this year than last year.
I hope so.
Which is a better sign.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my what I was going to bring up was like what we'll discuss later with the streaming services. If that was just a consideration of like, why we're not going to be pushing people to like keep their Xbox One to be playing shit on that. And if we don't want them buying the, top of the line, we want them to buy the streaming version. Like it's not worthwhile.
On Xbox's side, there's also the Series S, which is their like in between digital, halfway only console. Like PS5 has the digital version as well, which is $100 cheaper.
Yeah, so I wonder if it
the
was
sales
just, like,
numbers and
news
stuff
of that, and just like
I'll have a little discussion. I'll have a little discussion later on about some sales numbers, but there's been some Nintendo is just fucking annihilating people right now. Nintendo has profited during this pandemic better than any other video game maker or hardware supplier. Gangbusters.
So my point that I want to kind of connect to this idea of, again, them having to cancel the last generation playability is the fact that they're only doing the 2-person online co-op. So this game,
there had been a rumor of 4,
right? I mean, because that makes sense, because this game has the four playable characters. It would seem like a no-brainer. Like you hear
Robin and Batgirl, by the way, because it took me a while to figure that out.
Yeah,
there was footage from a year ago that had those two, so that's why this one was focused more on.
I didn't know.
And so, doesn't that, to at least a layperson, doesn't that, make sense that like, oh, there's 4 characters in this story that, if you're playing solo, you can swap in and out. Shouldn't you then be able to
no, if we had to play 4 people, it would be unbalanced because we couldn't balance the game around.
Which is, again, that's the argument that is absolutely baffling to me, and how I connect to this. It just speaks to fundamental mismanagement from the ground up. It's just the fact that
how can you not balance it around 4 people?
Or that that these encounters are like it's incapable to tweak things. And there's
you literally have AI that's
time.
Standing waiting.
They say there's not enough time.
2 people are fighting.
There's not enough time.
How could that not be done with 4?
There's not enough time till the release to get them to do this. Well, it's like, again, then it's fundamental mismanagement about setting expectations of when this game could be actually put out. And that's something, again, that we've talked about quite a lot, and we'll get to with the the news that's kind of hanging over our heads, as well as the recent delays in major properties. But like it's just these two things, the last minute cut of last gen and the restriction to only 2-person co-op despite being the 4 characters. It just speaks to like, and has completely opened my eyes to like, how much of a corporate exercise this game is, that no actual thought went into gameplay. It's just get the game out ASAP so stockholders can make their nut.
Well, yeah, because if it was about, this is a whole thing I have about some of the streaming services in general. If it was about getting the game into as many people's hands as possible, you delay the launch so that you can get last gen running as well.
Absolutely.
So that you can still hit the market of like, what was it, like 100 and something million PS4s out in the wild and like 40 something million Xbox Ones out in the wild.
Yeah,
like,
because of the component shortage, people don't have there's not as nearly as high of a a market possibility for the current generation. So it's absolutely to the shareholders' incentive to get it into as many.
This was about getting it out during Q3
because
this is we need a Q3 game.
Exactly, you need something to boost their their financial reports at the
the end of Q3.
At the end of the quarter. So it's all about like the predictability for stockholders. It's not about actual long-term gains. It's about the short-term return.
Well, so first of all, nothing is about long-term gains in our system. So I mean, get that out of there. But and I know you know that, but the issue I have is that they're doing this with established IP, and so I think that we're right that it is like a short-term. Like we know what we could milk out of this. We know how much the line will go up in Q3, so we could show profits. Blah blah blah, and they're doing it with an established IP of Batman because they know no matter what they're going to get the sales, especially having it rated teen. Like, mom and dad know that Jimmy likes Batman, so they're going to buy him the new Batman game, like whether Jimmy wants it or not, or like grandma's going to do it. Like, so you're going to get sales like that. There's some predictability in it. So it does not matter what the gameplay is because they're going to sell based on the Batman IP, and they're just,
I mean, it's also launching right around holiday time, which means it's going to be on a Black Friday sale.
Exactly.
And
everyone's going to buy it for little Jimmy. Little Jimmy's going to end up with 6 copies of it because it's on sale and people didn't coordinate. And then that's all fucking sales, whether they're returned or not. That's sales for the corporation. So,
well, yeah, we've had discussions of that about how like Microsoft touts their Game Pass subscribers, but it's like how many of them are using free codes. And I've had like fucking 6 of them given to me in the last month.
Yeah, you need to like start creating a spreadsheet of that so that again you can just game the system and just have Game Pass for free forever.
Do you think I haven't done that? It's like I'll save all these codes. Like if you're going to give them to me, I'll put down their expiration dates and I'll save the codes.
Yeah, like with my PC here, it's like I got a free bit for Ultimate that doesn't expire till the end of next year. So I've got no need for Ultimate at the moment. It's like maybe if there's a game that comes out that's only on Ultimate that like I really really want to play, sure, maybe I'll
break out that code.
Yeah, I'll break out the code and play the game and then go back to regular just Game Pass for PC. But
it's all just about the artificial feel of usage.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the actual player base. They don't care if there's only 400 people playing Babylon's Fall. It's a lot less than that.
As we said last episode, you said one person on Steam. That which for a live service game like that, again, this
launched a month ago.
It's just
maybe 2 months.
How
ago
is that
now,
one person still playing? It's like who are they playing with? It's like aren't those games like doesn't they necessitate playing with other people?
When you flash into that person's room, it immediately grayscales and there's rain on the window and you hear like a sad piano and they're just in a like lobby waiting, like circle spinning.
A noir film.
And like it times out after 15 minutes and it gets populated with bots.
I feel so bad for that person.
Dude just wants to play.
All right, so you know we've been ragging on Gotham Knights now for
we should
for
probably
quite a
shift to a
while.
different topic to rag
I
on
like
slash
we've
top.
got plenty of other things to talk about, but I'd say we break up the you know our disdain
Little
for
Nindy
yeah for
action.
AAA development, and let's dip our toes into the you know
Let's go to
the wide world of indie
the
games.
backbone of PC gaming.
Yeah, what are our thoughts from this week's Nintendo Indie World Showcase? There were several games. I mean, quite a bunch of games. You know,
It was one that I
even
didn't
more
enjoy
than
as much on first watch, but I
sure.
rewatched it earlier this morning, and there were a couple games that I stuck out to me a little better the
Right.
second time
I
around.
mean, like what I'm.
I was gonna say that.
Oh, go
Well,
ahead.
nothing really popped out to me. So I just have a quick thing. Nothing really popped out to me except the music in the first game. I thought that I was in Mario Sunshine for a
Was
second.
that the Ooblets game?
I don't
Ooblets.
remember the name. It was the very first one, whatever it was.
I think it was
Ooblets.
Ooblets, which is a
It
port.
just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it
Ooblets, which is
sounded.
like Animal Crossing meets
Mhm.
Pokemon.
Yes, and like it had all those like weird Nintendo sounds. I felt like I was at a little bit of Delfino Plaza in there. Um, so that was really my only comment. Otherwise,
take me back to Delfino
yeah,
Plaza.
yeah, exactly.
Herber,
Otherwise,
herber,
nothing
her.
really really popped out of me. That was too good. I
Nintendo
saw
hire
it.
me.
I mean, really.
I will just say the one thing that I'm not a fan of of Nintendo does this a lot. You know, it's like they have like the in their showcase, no matter if it's you know a direct or here like the indie one, where like they've got the you know the special spots for individual games, and then in the last like 2 minutes they just do a smash cut of like a bunch of different games that I've got to then like
Yeah,
go and like dissect and it's like and
I don't really like the smash cuts at the
I hate
end.
it. I hate it.
It's probably just to fit a bunch of smaller things in that aren't ready to like have full snippets shown.
Absolutely. I mean, which bummed me a lot, and I'm glad I caught it because it was like one of the few games that actually interests me from the list was the Card Shark game by Devolver that's being published by Devolver. That it was you know just kind of mixed up in that cut.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm actually really interested in. The art style is cool, like the kind of like the watercolor paint style. I was actually, and again, like you didn't get any feel for this at all in the gameplay. You actually had to go in and look at you know, the more extensive trailer. It's like there's, you know, it's a mystery game. There's like some combat, like the code duello, like takes or has a large part in the game where it's like you're playing against like French aristocrats, and like if you get caught cheating too much, they challenge you to a duel.
a duel.
The code duello shall rise again. But no, that's one I'm definitely excited about, and I think I'm gonna play. It looks really cool.
On my rewatch this morning, I pulled out my notepad and I wrote down 6 games. 6 games that I will take note of and keep an eye on as they get closer to production finish. The first one is that Batora game. I think it was like the second game they showed in the showcase.
Yeah, Lost Batora, Lost Haven.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting art style,
Yeah,
and that was basically my point of like, oh, I'll keep an eye on this if it's got something good like in the
it looked
pipeline.
very much to me like the animation for the League of Legends Netflix show, the Arcane show, which was one
Yeah,
of the highlights. That show was really well done, really well animated. Looks a lot like that.
I was a sucker for Head. That old
Simple
timey,
but sweet, right?
yeah, that old timey Mega Man feel. Uh, I thought it was kind of cool to have the developer or the game designer, you know, the kid who made it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, do the little introduction. I thought that was a nice touch. You know,
Always a
Nintendo likes
fan
to,
of the single person. You know, the single person
yeah,
studios gotta like you gotta support those people. You know, like that's an incredible achievement.
it's like Head had some really cool ideas there that I hadn't seen before in that format of a game. So that's something I'd like to keep an eye on. Like I thought that was really cool. Soundfall,
Yeah, I
that
knew you were
one,
gonna say that because you love your rhythm games.
that like those games are cool.
I mean
Like,
they're not for me personally, but like
oh,
I get
absolutely.
it. No, I get
I
it.
get they're very you know, like you have to kind of be into it. But like I kind of was into it. Like I kind of liked that like the combat seemed cool.
Hmm.
I like the rhythm and the song play.
Well, what's
I
definitely
think that's a
cool, what's
fun.
definitely cool about that is you get to choose like the soundtrack, like choose the song that you're
Yeah.
playing to.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
cool. That is definitely cool.
And then my last three, these all were ones that were more of like, I thought they definitely have a cool niche. They might not be games that I'll buy right away, but I think they'll definitely have an audience. Was Gunbrella. I thought Gunbrella had.
Dude, I'm sold on Gunbrella just by the name alone.
Yeah.
I'm sold, but like, I love me like a kind of noir thriller kind of style.
Yeah. What they described as like a noir
A noir
punk.
punk adventure.
Yeah. It's like noir punk. Okay. You have my attention.
You play as this woodsman character who is like seeking like revenge or something like that. Again,
Yeah.
boom, sold. I don't care how tropey it is. I'm there.
Yeah. That one definitely looked cool. There was Silt, which my only note about Silt was that I was just immediately, it was like Abzu crossed with any of those games in that black and white like shadowed
Yeah.
art style.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like a dark Abzu. I thought Abzu was a really cool game. It's something, it's definitely one of those things that's like a 2 to 3 hour play, really short. But it's kind of like a nice relaxing, just like swimming through the ocean, like chilling with like some animals and shit. Neat little story there. And then to finish it off, I just love, there's something about Another Crab's Treasure.
Oh, which is another one of the indie
Souls
souls
likes
like
because
that we're
that's all that
talking about. Yeah.
exists.
I did like that one because of the crabs. I thought that was
Yeah,
funny.
no,
And,
like
the
I
introduction by
absolutely
the
love that they
developers.
kind of went with a comedic route with
Sure.
like a Soulsy combat, like fucking crab game. We're aggro crab
Yeah, who
studios.
doesn't love, a little hermit crab character, fighting through the world searching for the next shell to inhabit. Like, the animation
Oh,
of
and by shell you mean garbage
yeah,
because it's
yeah.
all like
Like
human trash that
yeah,
was
like
thrown into
like
the
like a
ocean.
tin can. Like a tin can.
It's a meta commentary.
Oh, definitely interesting, and yeah, maybe one I will check out. But like, I'm absolutely sold on Gunbrella. Just like the titular Gunbrella is just looks like a cool mechanic. Like the multi uses of the umbrella portion. Using it as like
Yeah.
a grappling hook, or like or like the zip line thing, or like a shield and stuff. I think is cool. It also looks
I
challenging,
just
to be
like that what
honest.
you get with indies is like a really broad range of art styles.
Yeah.
And you get some really like cool things that can come out of indie development. That maybe the indie game itself doesn't get a huge market, but you get a big developer who notices it, and then they create a game in that art style. And that brings a whole like different perspective to it.
Yeah, Matt and I were talking about this like again before recording. It's like I've got this kind of weird relationship with indie games. It's like I feel like I know, particularly with my politics, that I should be supporting more independent and smaller studios. I just often find them hard to get into. I find them hard to justify spending my time with. I know it's like a kind of a spoiled kind of we're privileged by the
We've also got to the
high
point now
fidelity
where
of
a lot
AAA
of the
games and
good
stuff.
indie games are no longer really indie developers per
Sure,
se.
sure.
Like I know you hate when I use that term, Mike.
I cringed
uh,
a little.
I saw. That's why I called it out. Uh, but
Hate when
it's one of
anyone
those
says
things
it.
that like Shovel Knight, they're not that's not an indie game anymore. That's a fully developed studio. Team Cherry, right? Yacht Club. No, that's Yacht Club Games. I mean, we keep.
4-Day
I made the
Yacht
joke
Club?
before the Indie developer conference that Hollow Knight Silk Song was going to get news, and it was going to be canceled. We of course got no news. It's mostly a joke because like Hollow Knight is now a big enough title where that's going to be, if it's announced, it's going to be Summer Game Fest. Like Hollow Knight is no longer an indie
Yeah,
game.
it's, way
Yep.
way too successful, way too
Stardew
big.
Valley,
Yeah, that
Yep.
Stardew
yeah.
Valley and Terraria, no longer indie games. Like these are games who've grown from indie status to a new level. It's just hard to sometimes find those kind of gem diamonds in the rough.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment, Ben, and Matt as well. Like, there's not many that like I get excited for, and if it is, it's like the games that are in that kind of in between indie AAA status. They're more than what we describe as indie now.
Like it's cool because I follow a couple YouTube channels who will dive into indie titles. One of them in particular, he calls it his Steam dumpster diving collection, and he'll test out just like a bunch of indie games that have Souls-like in their description, and he'll give you his like quick and dirty impression on like, is this game even remotely worth your time? Is this like a student project that somehow made its way to Steam? Stuff like that. And there's a couple of the times that he'll pop something out there and it'll actually legitimately be a little diamond in the rough. Elder Lilies is one of those. It's like a Metroidvania that was severely underrated and now is very highly touted on Steam. Like overwhelmingly positive rating is, I think, the threshold.
Should quickly shout out our producers. The indie game that he was a part of.
Oh yeah,
did the sound production of Luca. I believe it's available on Steam and definitely on the Nintendo Store.
Buy it wherever you get your indie games.
Yeah, I mean, so like there's ranging from your student project to passion projects to like these bigger ones that kind of get pulled out of that indie status.
Oh,
like
how could I have talked about indie games without bringing up Undertale and Toby Fox? Like,
again, that's another one that's again has like become super popular.
So like there's almost this like sub market within video games of just like indie games and studios, and there is the sub market in the indie games in and of itself, but like within that market for them,
it is strange.
There's different levels.
I never really thought of it that way before, but it's like it's either an indie game that remains like kind of stuck in like the in obscurity. It languishes in obscurity and remains that small independent status, or something that does capture the attention of a large audience and is no longer small anymore.
So that's something I think the Nintendo Switch does a really good job of.
Yes,
is elevating indies to the front line, because I think the Nintendo Switch, if it is nothing else to you, if you don't like Breath of the Wild, if you don't like Mario, if you have a Nintendo Switch and you hate Nintendo titles, a Nintendo Switch is an indie machine and it's an indie lover's dream.
Sure. I mean, like half of these games from the showcase were just ports. They're just ports to the Switch.
Yeah.
Well, and not even that, like some of the games that we mentioned as the ones that kind of broke through indie status to like this higher indie status that we've been discussing
they're all
have been Nintendo games. Yeah.
It's one of those things. I think the Nintendo Switch has done a really good job of bringing indies to the forefront, and I think Nintendo has done a good job. I know we've ragged on Nintendo before last episode about some of their anti-union stuff, but like this is one of the things that I think they do well, is that they help elevate some of the smaller creators and give them a bigger platform. Because when you're on Steam, you're competing with 20,000 plus
everybody
that all do the same or similar thing.
But I also think that the console itself of the Switch provides like an opportunity for indie gamers to be more successful in that it's a handheld device. You're not playing it on PC, you're not playing it on a large console, though you can play it as a large on TV console. Like you're designing it for a smaller lower graphic usage.
The technical
the Switch design elevated things in a way for handhelds. Yeah, it made people think handhelds are a legitimate thing that people can actually like carry around and use.
And I think that a lot of like these indie games that have kind of become successful, not that they're like mobile games that we hate, but like almost like good mobile games that you
You're that Candy Crush player we hate.
Yeah, no, you are not a real gamer.
Yeah, you're just a fucking pig eating slop.
No, for real, it's a busy box. Well, speaking of mobile games, though, did you guys see the thing I sent you about how they're doing like a Lord of the Rings hero collector?
Yeah.
Thing?
Yeah.
Man, those games.
One tear rolled down my cheek.
They make me mad. I mean, like, oh, dude, like, I mean, I don't want to get too far into it, but it's like, the Tolkien estate, is like super litigious, like with, fan made stuff, and like is like really, really tight with, quote unquote securing the IP and protecting the IP. Yet they go ahead and
which is
license
weird because they
garbage
let it
like
out for
that.
Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, which are very like liberal with the IP.
Yeah, no, it's disappointing. But yeah, back to indie games. It's just I am excited for a few of these games for sure, and I'm definitely going to try them out. I myself have definitely over, like, even though I have to be upfront and say that I'm always very hesitant to invest time and money into indie games. There's just something about that, just that a disconnect in the appeal to me. I have been playing more indie games recently. I mean, some of them are branching that zone of getting into bigger games like Tunic and Weird West, and like those ones have like again captured the kind of the zeitgeist.
A good practice that I've done is if I have an indie game that I'm like interested in, but I don't think I want to like buy it at the price it's at, or if like I don't know if it's at the right time yet, I just throw it on the wish list.
Yeah.
And then if it ever goes on sale for like $5, snap it up.
Sure. But yeah, like so one like of definitely a small one, and another like single person studio was the recent Citizen Spur that I played through, got all I mean, I didn't get every single ending because it's decision based. Most I there's basically there's like 3 quest lines that depending on your choices you can get the 2 different endings. But I've got basically all 3 credit rolls, and I ate that game up. I mean, it was it's great, had great politics.
You might like Disco Elysium.
Oh, that's I already own that in Steam. That one's just on my it's in my queue. But that's another one that's again started off as indie, and has just got so popular and is now enormous. Like we got to talk about how the original cut of that had voice acting from the likes of the Chapo Trap House team, but then when it got so popular and they did the remaster or whatever they called
redubbed
the definitive edition, they got professional voice
Final
actors
cut.
which is upsetting to me.
Upsetting. So upsetting.
Just to hear Felix play some like he's like I think he plays like a scab character. They play multiple characters, but he like plays like a scab or something, a strike breaker. Very funny. But yeah, no, that one is totally in my queue. But yeah, I mean there's plenty of here to check out, and like I'm all for supporting the the smaller creators. Any other thoughts from the showcase? Anything else that stuck out to you?
No, I think we covered it pretty good. Wasn't as bad on rewatch as I thought that when I saw it the first time, is how I'll put it. If you were feeling lukewarm when you watched it one time, go rewatch it and see if anything like now that you know what's in there and you're not being like lukewarm about the disappointment that there was no Hollow Knight, Shovel Knight crossover.
Sure.
Or
oh, like the one that stuck out to me on the second watch that I totally forgot was the Gibbon Beyond the Trees.
Oh yeah,
that one actually looks really cool.
Cool.
I mean, I love monkeys, I love gibbons, and again, a cool art style. Kind of simple, soothing gameplay. Yeah, that was one thing I think I mentioned it before, but I may have got kind of lost in the cut. That something like Gunbrella that actually looks like a challenging game. That looks like some it's not to say that like
tight controls.
It's not to say that like a lo-fi side scroller indie game is doesn't automatically mean baby game. Something that these games can have a lot of depth to them. But it's definitely on me myself. I know for me personally, I gotta be more willing to take the leap and try out these different things.
Like I said, I think you'd like Undertale. I mean, I recommend everyone try Undertale at least once.
I do like that it like almost incentivizes a pacifist run. That is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean there's pacifist, genocide, and play the game like a normal human being.
All right, so that was a nice little refreshing bout of positivity here for us. Again, we had to step away from the AAA to get the good stuff, but now we're back in the muck. So
blood for the blood god.
Yeah, everybody in their cousin has got to have heard about this is like the big news that has set the gaming community on fire. Proving that they are more toxic than ever. So-called is the we understood here at Campaign Comrades to be the inevitable delays of both Starfield and Redfall, the two like major kind of tentpole games by Bethesda, the two real first productions that they would have made since being purchased by Microsoft, but they have now been delayed from it was summer for Redfall.
I did the world's
November,
saddest victory lap.
Starfield, but yeah, and they're now they've got the nebulous release of first half of 2023.
Sure. I'll believe it when I see
Yeah.
it, Bethesda.
I mean, but hey, at least for me, it's like that's a little bit more like I
You know why they did
well,
that?
I just want to say like I have no qualms with ever delaying games. My anger, my frustration comes with the marketing and the management strategies that necessitated that they had to put down a completely unrealistic date to begin with.
Yeah. So there are two things about that. The first is they told us when they told us because they didn't want people to find out at the Bethesda game conference with Xbox in June.
Sure.
If that was when people found out, it wasn't going to be a good thing.
Oh, they would have burned that place to the ground.
Time.
They would have burned that place to the fucking ground. Jeez.
So this is to temper expectations for the Bethesda game show. I'm sure they are still going to show something for them.
Yeah, they have to.
Because if they don't show something for Starfield, they're really starting to push the limit on how close you can get to a release without showing gameplay, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But the second thing I found out this week while listening to various gaming podcasts was that according to Jason Schreier and his sources inside Bethesda, last year they were pushing back against the giving of a release date of November 11th, 2022. And they were directly quoting, and I'm putting this in air quotes here, we're looking at a cyberpunk situation.
Yeah. No, that the people actually developing the game were like, have been for like basically shitting themselves for the last year because they just like they've known from the get-go that they're not gonna be able to meet this unrealistic date, which again, this falls solely at the feet of management. This just speaks to fundamental mismanagement from the top down. You can't blame anyone but Todd Howard and Phil Spencer. They are again just trying to juice the numbers, trying to anything to make line go up. But it's one thing that is interesting that I did see is that this delay was definitely pushed by Microsoft. That it definitely came
because
from
you can't
Phil
have your
Spencer.
first major Bethesda game from the big acquisition of Bethesda Game Studios be Cyberpunk.
Yeah. So after the announcement of the delay, Phil Spencer made comments himself. So I'll just read it quickly here. It says, these decisions are hard on teams making the games and our fans. While I fully support giving teams time to release these great games when they are ready, we hear the feedback. Delivering quality and consistency is expected. We will continue to work better to meet those expectations. Which again, it's just like for viewers at home, I'm doing the jerk off motion, just like
Phil Spencer is doing damage control, which is what he's hired to do. That's his job.
Yeah.
But Phil, I've got some numbers for you, Mr. Phillip. A game every 3 months, Spencer, with all these acquisitions back in 2018.
Yeah, it was supposed to be at least one first party game to Game Pass every quarter. At least
every quarter.
Yeah, at least one. Bullshit.
So let's start with a small microcosm. April 2022's top selling games. Number 10, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Nintendo. Number 9, Gran Turismo 7, Sony. Number 8, Mario Kart 8, Nintendo. Number 7, Horizon Forbidden West, Sony. 6, COD Vanguard, COD.
Yeah.
5, Switch Sports, Nintendo.
Wow, already.
4, Kirby, Forgotten Lands, Nintendo.
Yeah.
3, MLB The Show, technically Sony, but also on Xbox, on Game Pass.
Yeah, that's an ultimate only, because that's streaming only.
2, Elden Ring.
Yep.
And 1, Lego Star Wars.
Yep.
Not a single Microsoft game is a top selling game.
Exclusive, or from a first party studio,
And Nintendo is crushing it.
Nintendo is just goated at the moment. Like, absolutely.
They've been goated all
crushing
year.
it. Yeah.
Well, let's look at it this way. Here's the top sellers from April 2021 till April 22. So this is a whole year chunk of that April to April spread right there. Number 10 is still Pokemon Legends Arceus. That's amazing for a spin-off Pokemon game to be a top 10 in a year. Like, I give them a shit ton of credit for that. Number 9 is still Gran Turismo 7. Wait, nope. Okay. I opened the wrong list. Switched them around because I opened the first one. Number 10 is Pokemon Arceus. Number 9 is Resident Evil Village. Because, big mommy milkers.
Well, yeah. And I mean, it's solely responsible for Capcom doing gangbusters is the big booba.
Number 8, FIFA 22. Okay. Yep. FIFA is always going to be a top seller in your year because sports game. Number 7, Far Cry 6. Far Cry is still an established IP that does good numbers. Number 6, Lego Star Wars. So a month on Lego Star Wars is
at this point, barely over a month.
Gangbusters for the Lego franchise right there. Number 5,
this IPs is kind of you're building off of.
Number 5 is kind of like a hold your nose up. Battlefield 2042. Oof. Just like pour one out for the people who bought that game.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to some real suckers right there.
Number 4, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
I was going to ask.
The number 4 selling game of that past year.
Me.
Number 3, Madden 22, obvious. Madden. Number 2, COD Vanguard, COD. Yep. And then number 1, Elden Ring. So again, that's a whole year's worth and not a single Microsoft exclusive game on there. While again, you still have Nintendo dominating with their 2 exclusive titles. And then I bring it to the final nail in the game.
Spencer coffin.
Yeah. Since the Xbox Series X has launched, and I actually expanded the window for them to give them a better chance, I extended it to the beginning of 2020. Microsoft has released Forza Horizon 4 and 5, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Halo Infinite, and Psychonauts 2 with the asterisk PS4 also.
Man,
and if you want me to I can also add on Age of Empires 4 PC only.
Well, I love that the 3 of those games are just pretty much like driving and flight simulators. That's hilarious. That's fantastic.
In that same time frame, Sony has released exclusively on Sony consoles Dreams, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man Miles Morales / the PS5 remaster. I didn't count that one. I said that's just taking a PS4 game and upscaling it. I didn't put that on the same scale. Last of Us 2, Demon's Souls, Returnal, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and Horizon Forbidden West. And then in a separate category, they also released these games on PC, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, and both Neo 1 and 2.
Yeah.
This was Sony?
Yes.
What about God of War on PC?
And Horizon.
I didn't
Horizon
for PC.
I didn't count those 2 in the same scale because Neo 2 came out fresh in 2020, and that's what launched it with Neo 1 onto PC, is what I did.
I see.
Again, I didn't want to keep burying Microsoft here.
Yeah, stop.
I was trying to throw some more dirt on them.
And then comes Nintendo. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Paper Mario Origami King, Mario 3D All-Stars, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Bravely Default 2, Mario Golf Super Rush, Mario Party Superstars, Metroid Dread, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Kirby Forgotten Land, Triangle Strategy, and I stopped counting because there are a lot of minor games.
Yeah, man, they just don't quit,
Switch,
right?
Yeah. I didn't even list Switch Sports.
What about WarioWare?
That was again. That was a one I didn't count because again it was like.
But you can't leave Wario out.
Yeah, that's anti-Italian discrimination.
There was a bunch of like if you go look at the Nintendo launches fiscal years, like holy shit, Nintendo went into the pandemic and said we're gonna sell Nintendo Switch consoles and we're gonna put fucking games on them.
I mean, just think like the 3 Pokemon games that were released in that time period. Just those
they came out in November and January. And
Brilliant Diamond Pokemon Snap previous.
Yeah.
Oh, by the
That was a
by the way,
huge
Matt,
hit.
since I'm like we were talking about, I'm trying to expand my Switch catalog as well. I did buy the Xenoblade Chronicles, the definitive edition as well. That should be arriving.
That's a good
soon.
one to start with. It's the classic. It's a good combat system. There's definitely some good story, heart punching moments right in the beginning too. Like I can't even begin to describe what you're going to go through story wise. Like if you took mushrooms, you still wouldn't understand.
Hockey mushrooms, right?
Yes, of course. Mushroom pizza, my favorite type of pizza. Mushroom and bacon, umami and salt.
Yeah, like can we just like we cannot, I think, stress enough that this basically means that Xbox will have no major releases for the entire year. That's astounding with all the round of purchases and all that shit. Oh my god.
I'm assuming something they're going to show like one or two things at the game conference in June that'll come out in like October, November time.
But nothing.
But they won't be
Like what?
Nothing. Yeah, say nothing. That's
that's the
on
thing. Though,
radar.
like they're not going to be big.
Yeah.
Starfield was supposed to be their thing.
Yeah, that was the tent pole.
That was the dick flop onto the table moment that they were trying to, like, oh, you're bringing God of War Ragnarok in 2022. We're bringing Starfield.
Which again, let's be upfront with. No way that's coming out this year either. I would.
They keep saying it is.
I would be so surprised. Because at least again, they're not giving a firm date for that one. Like I have to give them some shred of credit there that they're not at least giving like the actual day.
It's like if you told me that it came out in December 2022, I could buy it. I could buy it as a holiday game.
I'm sitting here and I'm starting to think more and more that it is a legit marketing strategy to like gas people up and then just take the heat for, because the news cycle is not going to last long. You'll take the heat for a week or whatever, and then fucking gamers, whatever, and then they'll move on.
Metroid Prime 4, when they announced the logo with a 4 on it back in 2017 and saying it's in development, it went up for pre-order on Amazon that day, and there are people who pre-ordered Metroid Prime 4 on Amazon and probably have forgotten that they've done it.
That's like the kind of like the exception that proves the rule with like Nintendo. I'm not trying to suck Nintendo's dick here, but like they seem to have at least have figured out.
They tend to do a very good job of show when it's ready,
right? Like you see so many of the things. It's like they don't announce the game until it's like, oh, it's available today.
Yeah, no, and I think culturally within their company, like that, they won't take this marketing strategy, but Sony and Xbox seem to be running away with it. And like you said, at least Sony, and I think at least anecdotally from what I can remember, they're pretty good at not giving a hard date unless they have a hard date. They'll just say like sometime in November.
They did it with Forbidden West, but I'm never going to. So I'll put this asterisk on everything. Pandemic related game development. I'm not going to try to nail people too hard on it. I know it's difficult, but at the same time, like you can't use that reasoning forever.
I mean, it's been long enough now that they've had to adjust, and new strategies and new forms of development have to have arisen.
Because like my big thing with Microsoft right now is they started buying these companies in 2018 with the statement of 6-year game development cycles, which would say 2024 at the very earliest, right? But where were the games that these studios were working on when they were bought?
Right. No,
they were just sitting there on their thumbs waiting to be acquired by Daddy Microsoft to, tell them to make games. Maybe Bethesda was, because they were just like, we can keep selling Skyrim.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. It's like it's again speaks to a deep seated mismanagement going on. Like there's something definitely wrong.
It's not even mismanagement. Like it is mismanagement in a sense to us, but to them it is not mismanagement. It is a purposeful marketing and management strategy to do it this way.
Because there is no repercussions. Still has a job. Yeah, as proof of
there's no repercussions.
Point, yeah. Phil Spencer doesn't just have a job. Phil Spencer has like public support. People love Phil Spencer. He does his job so well. He's built a cult.
It's like why? Like
I mean, same why with everything.
Are they paying you?
It's just American brain rot.
Are they paying you? Are they paying you to support Phil Spencer?
The Phil Spencer shills, and like I don't want this is again like I don't want to soapbox here a little bit. Like I'm a Reddit user. Ha 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 ha. So I see a lot of these online communities around these consoles because I follow a lot of different gaming communities. And like the Microsoft fans, man, they're so defensive about everything. Everything for them is like, oh, well, Phil said we're going to be getting this. And like, Phil did this. And Phil is telling me. And like, Phil is my friend.
He's my best friend. He's my dad.
No, there's just straight up a parasocial relationship.
We don't really have that out of Sony fans because Sony fans look at Jim Ryan like, wow, this dude puts his foot in his mouth more than any CEO I've ever seen.
Yeah, which we'll get to.
That was a clever segue to.
But we'll say before we do, I just want to get the quick bit. What do you guys think about Ubisoft maintaining that Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora and Skull and Bones will both release within financial year 23, meaning before March 31st of next year?
Sure.
Yeah. No way.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
I know they want to because they want to capitalize on Avatar 2. Was it Way of Water?
Yeah, which is
whatever
that's
it's called.
A holiday release this year, right?
Well, and exactly my point. It's another way of like juicing up people for the IP, getting them ready. It's just a marketing strategy, and it's like they'll get a news cycle now. They won't release the game, but they got so many people juiced up in that news cycle, it'll be dormant for a while.
It still does translate to some more sales. Yeah,
exactly. And then they get 2 news cycles out of it.
Speaking of Avatar, Ben, if you're up to it and the world is better, we should go see Avatar 2 in IMAX again.
Hell yeah,
for old time's sake.
Hell yeah. But we've got to like drive an hour out of the way in order to
absolutely.
In order
I don't
to
even
actually
care if it's a circle.
Yes, in order to actually make it worthwhile. All right, yeah. So
Jim Ryan.
Don't let our criticism of Phil Spencer like lead you down the road to think that we are Sony ponies that
Jim
that
Ryan stands here. Jim Ryan does no wrong.
Dude, Sony Interactive Entertainment, Jim Ryan is a absolute fucking goblin. So it's
let me tell you about my cat's birthday party.
Dude, that email is just so fucking bad.
Well, so I mean, first of all, I think Kotaku had a Twitter post that I'd sent to you guys, and it was like Jim Ryan sends email about abortion, asking people to respect everyone's opinions. And I was like, no way he's asking them to respect the right to abortion. It's respecting opinions of the pro fucking life.
It was worded. It almost read. I mean, you can maybe speak more on this if you read the full statement. It almost read to me like he had like lawyers read it over. It was like just toe the line and like play both sides. Say the milk toast.
Yeah, he says that the company and his community are multifaceted and diverse, holding many different points of view. Yeah. We owe it to each other and to PlayStation's millions of users to respect differences of opinion among everyone in our internal and external communities. Respect does not equal agreement, but it is fundamental to who we are as a company and as a valued global brand.
The PR team signed off on it with the lawyers, gave it to Phil Spencer. Then he wrote his.
I like to imagine that it went out and
Ryan,
that his like personal assistant, who's definitely a woman because they definitely only like hire in the like traditional role filled because it's a boys club. Probably like read the email and just like looked over to the door, like immediately like making eye contact. Dude, as he sits there and like kicks his heels up on his desk, like he just like saved the world from abortion.
Yeah, it's like so. You got to admit, or say people are going to be like, oh, why are you talking? Why does it matter that a game developer is talking about abortion rights? It's like people forget that games are made by people and that approximately half of them have uteruses and require this fundamental health care.
Well,
girls don't game.
And part of the importance of like someone like Sony or Microsoft making a statement like this is there's going to come a time when Roe gets overturned, which I'm pretty set on it's going to happen, that states start making these new laws about abortion. And then there's going to be an issue with private employer-based health insurance.
Yeah.
In their ability to cover.
Well, because there've already been companies who've come out and said that they'll pay for their employees to go to a different state.
Exactly.
Any Texas employees can go somewhere else. Yeah.
And so like that's even why this is important. But he's like, and it would have been better and like awesome if Sony, a company like this, was saying the same shit that these other companies were saying.
A Sony acquired company, Bungie. Bungie put out a statement in support
They
of
were like
one
of the first ones in the industry. Yeah,
yeah, they were on it immediately.
And a strong.
I'm sure Wendy's Twitter was on it too.
Strong, affirmation of say we support a woman's right to choose, and we'll do everything, to give our employees the critical life-saving healthcare that they need.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've heard and seen, and it's a sentiment I kind of agree with, is that there's this whole notion around the fact that like if you're silent on something, you're also compliant in it in that way.
Complicit.
But like this is definitely one of those moments where Jim Ryan would have been better off just saying absolutely
nothing.
Correct.
Just no statement
about the cats.
Say whoever is the PR person that signed off on this, fired. You are bad at your job.
I'm the person that gets fired. Yeah.
Do the cat birthday thing, and that's just to like keep the company light and happy. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Distract them.
Distract
them from the shittiness of what's going on.
Oh, look over here. Look at my cats. Look at the cute cats.
Shiny.
Look at my cats. They live in a cat house that costs more than your.
That costs more than your house.
I spend more on my cats each year individually than we do on any of you employees.
Collectively.
Yeah.
But no, that's just one of those things. Like, you really just shouldn't have sent. Like, that's one of those things that like whoever told them to do that is an idiot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's the type of yes man enablement that happens at the top of companies.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I need to make a statement on this because I'm the CEO. Mm-hmm. And then they're like,
because they're a hero.
Sir,
they're a hero.
You probably don't have to do that.
Ben, you're so right. Like this person, depending on the backlash, is just going to get fired. This PR person that signed off on it, because this is a situation where you make a statement like Bungie did in affirmation of
it costs you nothing. It costs you nothing and earns you so much goodwill. Which again, it's fucked up that has to. It's fucked up that has to be the case. It's like we shouldn't be reliant upon your employer to again to supply life-saving healthcare. It should be a fundamental human right.
Thank you, World War II, for giving us private
campaign comrades say we must even go beyond Medicare for all. We need a national health system. We need it. We needed it 60 years ago.
Yes. Fuck you. The IRS
wrap this back
us.
To like the whole thing with Roe v. Wade that they're trying to do right now is that if you can make a woman a felon for getting an abortion, having a miscarriage, she can no longer vote. And boom,
convenient.
You just wiped out a voting demographic.
Convenient.
And also, I mean, it's again to be said. Anyone listening to this probably already knows this statement, but getting rid of abortion rights doesn't end abortion; it just ends safe abortion, and people will just end up dying. And like it's not pro-life.
You're also always, because Matt, that was a good pickup on making them felons. But everyone should always remember when they do that. Not only are they taking them out of the voter pool, but you're putting them in prisons that are in red states that then get census.
Well, there's a whole. That's the whole other part of this. Not only are they putting women in prison for prison labor, they're also creating children who are getting put into a system at a negative disadvantage that puts them more towards that statement. Or like that side of things, like coming out of the orphanages, like you have a higher percentage of going to jail than someone raised in a single
recidivism rates.
Yeah, and I don't like to cite stuff like that because it's like you're like saying, oh, your destiny's already chosen because of where you are. But
I mean,
it sucks.
Your material conditions are definitely affecting your life path.
Like there's so many side effects to this that people are just ignoring because they don't care. Like that's not the thing they care about. They care about the carrot that was dangled.
And you're right. Jim Ryan is an egomaniac because he's the CEO of a huge corporation. And
I mean, they all are.
Like
CEOs are. That's what you do to get there.
Yeah, you absolutely
be crazy.
Absolutely have to be. So it seems weird, to me to have to transition from such a serious topic like that to something that is comparatively really not important. But the last thing we want to talk about today that we did kind of mention briefly was some slight developments in the streaming services for these companies. We don't need to dwell on it too long because again, it seems in poor taste at this point. But I just want to say that even though he's not here, Andrew remains vindicated. Xbox is totally doing away with consoles. They're launching their streaming stick and the Samsung TV app to provide cloud gaming.
I mean, we've known for a while now that Microsoft You know the whole point of like when you can't beat someone at the game, you either change the game or you leave.
Yeah.
So like Microsoft is doing the thing where like they just got schooled in one-on-one, and now they're going to go play Foursquare. They're going to go play a different game.
But
like, yeah, they're not playing console wars anymore. They're not. Oh, we're not going to sell more consoles than you. We're just going to get everyone on Game Pass by selling a $50 streaming stick.
And I would just like to say that we at Campaign Comrades predicted this in very early episodes, and we were right. So pats on the back to us, boys.
I mean, it's a logical step. Like they're going to do streaming sticks. The streaming app on Samsung TVs, that's not new. Samsung TVs were the first to have PS Now built into them. That was a really cool feature.
Well, and even Amazon with their like Luna or whatever.
They've got their.
We don't talk about Luna.
That's
another sleep paralysis demon of mine. Luna and Stadia just standing in the corner.
Yeah, Stadia. I forgot about that one too.
It's like I saw an announcement. It was like a game that hasn't come out yet has like been like leaked through Stadia, and I was like, why the fuck are people still putting games on Stadia? It's like, please just let Google kill that off like Google Plus.
Someone mentioned Google Plus to me the other day, and I cracked up.
What?
I was
What's
like,
that?
Yeah, what?
You don't know what Google
2014.
Plus is? Let me tell you about the wonderful new social media app through our overlords Google.
Man, so Sony though, like, kind of quickly came back to that and was just like, fuck you. We're still, you can't compete with, no matter how many studios you buy. You guys just can't.
Well, yeah, I just read you out.
Yes, they can't compete with what we're doing, and they like, as much as I hated the corporate double speak of
it's gloaty,
the virtuous development cycle. I mean, they're putting their money where their mouth is. Investing over $300 million in
our games wouldn't be good enough
studios.
If they had to come to a streaming service day one.
Yeah,
is what they're saying.
And
there's nothing wrong with
Sony's
that.
CFO Hiroki Totoki. I don't know. Sorry if I pronounced that, butchered that pronunciation.
It's okay. I'll forgive you.
But this is obviously a translation of his quote. He says, he'll refrain from making comments on the competitor's strategy. Their current thinking is to have development costs, appropriate R&D investment for quality products, and that will improve the platform and also improve the business in the long run. AAA titles on PS5, if we distribute that on the subscription services, we may need to shrink the investment needed for that, and that will deteriorate the first-party quality, and that is our concern. And they're absolutely correct. Again, tying it back to that is a huge reason why they're not putting games out, is because these studios are not seeing the return based on just all their shit getting shunted into Game Pass, into the new streaming stuff. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for the creators.
I can't directly quote the article because it's not super fresh in my memory, but there was a game developer who was doing the interview, and he said that they're not really interested in bringing games to Xbox anymore, at least initially, because Xbox players don't buy games. They just wait for it to come to Game Pass and just play it on Game Pass, and they don't want that.
They're getting a bad revenue split.
Yeah, it's like they don't like that revenue style. So if they're going to bring a game to Xbox, it's going to be later now, because like that's happening with Deathloop, with Ghostwire Tokyo. Granted, those were also paid for by Sony before the Bethesda acquisition, but you're getting this whole split now with developers who are like, I'd rather put my game onto markets where people will actually pay for them and play them and use them that way, instead of kind of treating it like Netflix flavor of the week show where you watch Tiger King for two nights and have a and then
memory hole it forever.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing with the streaming service style that hasn't really worked. Is like it's done it with
music.
It's done it with music. It's done it with TV. It's done it with movies. It's basically killed every art style, I'll say generally to be broad. It's basically killed every art style it's attached to, because of the way that it forces you to constantly muck stuff up.
The way it incentivizes development, it just like completely runs things into the ground.
Well, because it's a vertical arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're just putting it all under one, you're putting it all under Spotify, you're putting it all under Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's why, they are just watering down the price of that art and the art itself, and then just milking it based on the numbers, not the actual quality.
We here at Campaign Comrades subscribe to the theory of Kendrick Lamar's album, has just recently launched, and we are partaking in the white people talking about hip hop week. But there's something to be said. I read it online and it made me really angry. And it was, hey, he finally released an album. It's been 1,800 days, man. I've been like dying. It's like, it like finally came out. It's one of those, like, I don't want to punish an artist for taking time to put something out. Like, put something out when you want to put something out.
Yeah.
Don't just pump me out an album every year because you got to keep top of the charts because Spotify incentivizes search engine optimization with that constant chart topping. Put something out because you want to put it out. Don't put it out because you need to.
But it is interesting, and I think, you know, we won't dive into this too much, but to look at like someone like Kendrick, who has been not only like chart successful, but in the streaming service era, but also has like made a lot of money for himself and been able to expand as an entrepreneur. And it's because he played this game of quality over, you know, quantity.
I mean, I have Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn all on vinyl.
Yeah, I mean, but like, you know, that's more of like a niche, like hobby thing than like the actual
listening. It's more of a just like putting out there that like someone who still makes art deserves to have their art.
Okay. Yeah, appreciated and like a nice form. Yeah.
Alrighty, that's been a great discussion for this week.
Look out for the Campaign Comrades hip hop tier list coming to our YouTube channel.
The only thing I'll add before we sign off is RIP FIFA, the organization, splitting with
I'm
EA.
standing at FIFA's funeral as FIFA's number one hater who woke up like 3 hours early to show up first.
Absolutely. But like, just like, love to see their downfall. Love to see them going to waste so much money on trying to make their own competitor.
Not their downfall. They're going to make their own game with hookers and blackjack, and you'll see.
So yeah, I'm vibing off that, and I think that'll take us into next week.
EA Football Club.
Be sure to follow us online. Best place to see what we're doing, both with streams and new episodes, is at CampCompod on Twitter and Instagram. But Twitter's the best place to follow us. We stream most nights every week on Twitch at campaign_comrades. Come check us out. Give us a follow. Rate.
Got some cool games going on too right now. Like we're doing some. We've done some It Takes Two, some Strangers of Paradise. Some dudes being guys.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be playing. Moving on in Mass Effect. I think I'm going to be playing Mass Effect 2 for my next stream game. But yeah, give us a review on iTunes and the various podcast apps. It helps out a lot.
Only 5-star reviews.
Yeah, nothing less, nothing else.
Oh, dude, I'm cool with 4 too. Like 4 is perfectly acceptable for early on. If you listen to this and you say like, "Hey, I disagree with you. I think Gotham Knights looks cool." 4 stars. Cool, man. That's your prerogative.
But
we'll ignore you.
Any constructive criticism, ignore it. Absolutely.
Send it to at Matt Wash on Twitter, and he'll reply to DMs.
Yeah. All right, folks. Till next time. We will see you then. Bye bye.